So I only read 20 to 21 books this year, and one of them are starting in December. 6 of them were McRoy, 2 of them were Gas, and 2 of them were Sturgeon. So I don't have a big top 10 list to pick from. Also, reading big stonkers like this didn't really help. That's not in the top 10. It's not really an honorable mention. But anyway, here's my top 10 of 2021. And let's go with I'm going to break a little rule. So this one book I started in December, that's going to be my number 1, if you can guess. And I'm going to go with some non-books as well. So, for number 10, we have Bokurano, the manga. Now, I reread that in the past. I didn't finish it. I read the ending once, read it before, and finally finished it this year. And I love that manga. First off, I love mecha. I'm a huge nerd. I'm building Gundam models right now. But the characterization was just really well done in that manga. And it was so dark, and the fight scenes were so clever. And it had this very bleak outlook on life, but the kind of bleak that makes you reflect back on what the importance of your life is. And even though it's a little heavy-handed, the manga, it was beautiful, and I really do recommend it. I can't recommend that one enough. Next is Tool by Peter Sotos. It's not like this is a book that was like, oh man, this is so cool. I do appreciate finding another pathway for dark erotic literature, and just the unapologetic nature of Tool is something that you just kind of got to appreciate to some level. He's obviously not for everyone. He's very contentious. If people really don't like it or complain about it, it's not something I'm going to argue with them about. But I do appreciate that it's there, and it's like it's kind of like watching serial killer documentaries, and then you go, like I went to the Museum of Death, and you get to see some of the memorabilia, some of the pictures. It's just that fascination that you just can't really look away from for whatever reason. Number 8, shut up, Ben. Number 8 is actually a book that I didn't like too much, but it's Women and Men by Joseph McElroy. And to be honest, upon reflection, upon thinking about this book, I appreciate it a lot more. Vitz, I think I hate that book more. Not hate, but the book sucked. I wish I didn't spend so much time with that damn book, because I definitely cut into a lot of reading time this year. And so did this one, and I was really disappointed with the second half, and felt it was petering. But I also find myself, this is the book I reflect the most on and think most of my daily life. Like, there was one day, it was really foggy out, and it was kind of rainy, and I was dropping off a router at my internet provider. It was the wrong one. And then I just saw like middle class families picking up their kids from karate, and then I started thinking about my time in my father's office, and that's really what Women and Men is. It's just reflections on like the predominantly white America, middle class lifestyle, and all the small little intricate things that we don't put a lot of value to, and we just kind of take for granted, but in actuality just make up so much of our lives. And just that kind of beauty, I was just reflected a lot of different times in this year. So I really got to give this book more credit than I probably did in my review, but also I was exhausted reading this book, so that's why it's kind of low on the list. Wow. Next is The Dreaming Jewels, because I can't find More Than Human. More Than Human, it's kind of like if you watched the movie Parasite. It's just a well-crafted, dense movie, and that's More Than Human, but it adds a lot more of the strange. And Dreaming Jewels is really good. It kind of reminds me of Steven Universe a little bit. Delaney recommended this book, and you know what? Theodore Sturgeon is an author deserving a lot more, because the 2 books I've read for him, he's very good at crafting a novel and a plot and everything. So definitely check out this one, but I would absolutely check out No More Human. The idea of a gestalt is really cool, and it kind of, if you read Babel 17, it kind of has like a similar theme to it as well. So great book, great little sci-fi. Next is, oh man, I didn't order this properly. So this part of it, it's not really any particular order, just like kind of the top book and kind of the bottom books, but in the middle chunk, it's gonna be just whatever. The Ways by Virginia Woolf. Peak modernism, must read, a beautiful book. When I did the review, I was like, oh man, this review sucks. It's so surface level. There was so much of this book I did not get. And luckily you guys said, oh, it's a great review. So I'm like, Yeah, I did a great analysis. But the thing I was talking to Big Hole on Instagram about it. A Reader's Guide to Virginia Woolf would be so crazy because, unlike Pynchon or unlike um Joyce, she is so insular. She's not referential. So everything in this book and in the world of the book is within this book. It's not referencing stuff from the outside. So it's like, what do you even make a reference book about this book on? And just the ideas of like how we view lives and how friendship is the constant in our lives, but also how those go away and those get distant, then come back together. And the scenery of the beach is just some of the most beautiful prose you can read. So absolutely must read. And if you love modernist literature, you have to check this one out. Next is Ometepe's Luck, another great modernist one, much later in the 1900s. Wait, maybe not that much later? Whatever. But this one took me by surprise. I'm reading The Tunnel right now. I'm going to actually take a break from The Tunnel. It's great, but I just need a break from gas. You can say I'm all farted out. But Ometepe's Luck, damn, this book was good. And it really is Joycean in a lot of ways. Reminds me of like some of the early chapters in Ulysses. Beautiful, great characterization, and they're doing this new thing I love in books where it's very segmented. So you have a flash forward to you focus on Ometepe, to you focus on the priest, and having all those divisions really helped keep my interest in this book. What a strong debut novel. The recording stopped mid-video and I saw myself in the first part of the video. God, I'm cringy on camera. Anyway, number 4, or something, is Hog by Samuel Delany. Great book. When you even get past the shock value of this book, there's such a great story. Delany's such a goddamn good storyteller, and just how he always kind of puts out these super out the wall that makes you feel like, okay, sure, Delany. Stuff with the eroticism and the grossness and everything. He's able to always cement it back in the real world, like what he did with Hog, which I still think, we did with Short Rumbling, and which I still think is a better novel and more wholesome and nostalgic. But like when Dennis goes on his rampage, and it just gets a little scary from that aspect. And when you see Hog, it's like, oh my god, thank god it's Hog again. And Hog does Hog stuff. So yeah, beyond the shock value, I really recommend reading this novel. Next up is my most expensive book. I'm really glad I got this one, but it's The Disconnected by Ometepe. I was a little afraid this was just going to be kind of a boring, rare book, and what wasn't going to be too much to speak of, but this is one of my favorite books. Again, it's segmented in a very beautiful way. It plays all these really cool linguistic games, does a lot of Joycean stuff, and it just has such a heartfelt friendship at the core of it. I fucked up the plastic at the top, but it has such a heartfelt friendship in it. Unfortunately, Ulrich Press took down my Google Drive of it because they're dumb. But you can, unfortunately, Ulrich Press took down the Google Drive of it, but it's still rummaging around there out on the internet. So definitely give this one a read. A new translation's coming out in a year or two as well. This one's a little strange to put on a top 10 list, to be honest. Because it is non-fiction and it just deals with such a heavy subject, but that's Rwanda, Death, Despair, and Defiance, and I'm really happy I've read this book. Even this is not the 1,000-page edition, or 1,000 plus, it's 700-page, but this is one of the most important novels I've read, and just all the harrowing stories throughout it, and all the personal accounts. Only real criticism I can say, it was made right after it, doing it too, was that it might be a little front-loaded to the politics, and bear with me on this, from a reader's perspective, there might be a little bit too many personal accounts that bleed into each other, but each personal account is important, not only just to create a view and an atmosphere of the horrors of the genocide that happened, but it's the only way to give some of these people power against their attackers. Because by the victims naming who did these crimes to them and showcasing the crimes in the book, it allows the proper system of justice to happen and to make these attackers not go back into anonymity. And so because of that, my light criticism of the book is pretty null in the grand scheme of things, and this is such an important book. And finally, my number 1, which I'm breaking 2 rules to put on it because I started in December and it's the second one of an author, is Lookout Cartridge. God damn it. This book is so tough to talk about because it's quintessential McElroy, and then it goes beyond McElroy. It's right up there with Gravity's Rainbow and Ulysses. It's such an amazing novel. I don't know how he did it, especially the last 100 pages, which I will not open because I got this off eBay and it has cat piss on it, unfortunately. Not my cat. Great. Um, but the things he does in this novel, McElroy takes the cognition of thought and just takes it to a level that I don't think I've seen any other author do. And possibly this might be a big statement, but if any author tries to do it, it's kind of like Finnegan's Wake. It's going to be in the shadow of McElroy, just like if anybody tries to copy the prose of Finnegan's Wake. So, what a glorious book. My camera cut out at the end of it. Sorry about that. Yeah, so that is my top 10 for the year. I wish I read a bit more. I think I read so many huge books. But yeah, let me know what your top 10 is. I hope you enjoyed the channel. I hope you continue to support me. And yeah, I just appreciate everybody watching. I'll be reading more books and I'm going to go a bit more off the wall next year. So yeah, just keep in touch and later.